Why did Doctor Doom become evil? Avengers Doomsday Explained, warning, spoiler warning. This video discusses major details from the latest Avengers Doomsday footage, including Doctor Doom's tragic backstory, his relationship with the Fantastic Four, and why Victor Von Doom became the villain we see in the movie. Doctor Doom has finally arrived in the MCU, and the latest Avengers Doomsday footage gives us our biggest clue yet about why Victor Von Doom became evil. And surprisingly, Marvel isn't presenting him as someone who was simply born cruel. Instead, the footage suggests something much more tragic. Victor was once kind. He was caring. He was apparently someone who genuinely loved the people around him. But then, according to Sue Storm, everything he loved was taken from him. And that loss didn't simply make Victor angry, it broke him. So how did a brilliant and apparently compassionate man become Doctor Doom? What happened to Victor? Why does he blame the world? And why does he now believe that everyone else is living a stolen life? Let's break down what the new footage tells us. 1. Victor wasn't always evil. The first important detail is something Sue Storm says about Victor. She describes him as someone who was once the smartest person in the room, but also someone who was kind and caring. That's incredibly important, because it means Marvel is deliberately giving Doctor Doom an emotional origin. He wasn't necessarily born wanting to conquer the world. He wasn't simply a monster. There was a person underneath the armor, and that person apparently suffered a devastating loss. Sue explains that everything Victor loved was taken from him. She says she knew he was lost, but she didn't realize he was broken. That single idea could explain almost everything about the version of Doom we're about to see. Victor didn't just become evil. He became convinced that the world could no longer be trusted. 2. What did Victor lose? This is one of the biggest mysteries Marvel is deliberately keeping secret. The footage does not give us a complete list of everything Victor lost. We see imagery connected to a mother and child, and Sue's narration makes it clear that his transformation is connected to personal tragedy. But Marvel hasn't officially explained every detail of his past. That's important because there are two separate things we need to understand. First, what is confirmed? Victor suffered enormous personal loss, and that loss fundamentally changed him. Second, what are fans assuming? That's where theories about his family, his childhood, his home, and his relationship with the Fantastic Four come in. Those theories may eventually prove correct, but the movie hasn't confirmed every detail yet. So for now, the safest interpretation is that Victor's tragedy becomes the foundation for his obsession with control. 3. Why would losing someone make Doom evil? This is where Doctor Doom becomes more interesting than a typical villain. Imagine someone who is incredibly intelligent but completely powerless to stop the people he loves from being taken away. Victor's greatest strength is his mind. He believes that almost every problem has a solution. If something goes wrong, he can study it. If something breaks, he can build something better. If someone doesn't understand something, he can find the answer. But there is one problem intelligence cannot solve easily: loss. You can't simply invent your way out of grief. You can't build a machine that guarantees nobody you love will ever die. And if Victor couldn't accept that reality, his intelligence could eventually turn into obsession. Instead of accepting that some things are beyond his control, he could decide that the answer is to control everything. That's where Doctor Doom begins to emerge. 4. Doom's greatest weakness is his need for control. Doctor Doom has always been one of Marvel's most arrogant characters. But his arrogance isn't random. He genuinely believes that he is capable of solving problems that everyone else is too weak, too stupid, or too frightened to solve. That becomes extremely dangerous after suffering a traumatic loss. Victor could reach the conclusion that the world is fundamentally broken. And if the world is broken, then someone needs to fix it. In Victor's mind, that person can only be him. This is the point where a desire to protect people can become something much darker. At first, he may want to prevent another tragedy. Then he wants enough power to guarantee it. Then he decides that nobody should be allowed to challenge him. Eventually, protection becomes control, and control becomes domination. That is the tragedy of Dr. Doom. The man who wants to save everything may eventually destroy people's freedom in the process. 5. Why does Doom blame other people? The footage gives us another major clue. Reed Richards confronts Victor in the middle of the destruction and demands to know whether Doom caused it. Victor responds by telling the heroes that they have lived stolen lives and now must give them back. That line is extremely revealing. Victor doesn't seem to believe that he's simply attacking innocent people. From his perspective, something has been taken, and he believes the heroes are somehow connected to it. This could be connected to the multiverse. It could involve the different realities being merged or destroyed. Or it could be something deeply personal, involving the people Victor lost. Whatever the explanation is, Doom clearly sees himself as someone who has been wronged. And that's important. Villains who believe they're victims can be much more dangerous than villains who simply want destruction, because they can justify everything they do. 6. Why does Doom think he's the hero? This could be the central idea of Avengers Doomsday. Doom may not see himself as evil. He may believe that the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men are standing in the way of the only person capable of fixing the multiverse. If Victor believes the heroes are living stolen lives, then destroying their reality may not seem like murder to him. It may seem like correction. That is classic Dr. Doom. He doesn't want to destroy the world just because destruction is fun. He wants to reshape reality according to his own vision. And because he believes his intellect is superior to everyone else's, he assumes his vision must be correct. That makes him incredibly difficult to reason with. You can't convince someone to abandon their plan if they genuinely believe their plan is the only way to save everyone. 7. How does Reed Richards fit into this? Reed Richards is probably one of the most important people in Victor's story. In Marvel Comics, Reed and Victor are intellectual rivals. Both are brilliant. Both believe they can solve impossible problems. But their philosophies are completely different. Reed believes knowledge should be used to help people. Victor believes knowledge gives him the right to decide what should happen. That difference creates one of Marvel's greatest rivalries. And the Doomsday footage appears to preserve that relationship. Reed doesn't simply call him Dr. Doom. He calls him Victor. He knows him. He is emotionally affected by what Victor has become. And when Reed sees the destruction around him, he desperately demands to know if Victor did this. That suggests their conflict isn't simply hero versus villain. It is personal. Reed may be looking at someone he once considered a friend, colleague, or intellectual equal, and now that person has become one of the greatest threats in the universe. 8. Did Reed help create Dr. Doom? We don't know yet, but this is one of the biggest questions. The traditional comic book origin involves Victor and Reed becoming rivals, with Victor's arrogance contributing to a catastrophic accident that leaves him scarred. The MCU could borrow elements of that story, but the new footage suggests Marvel is giving this version of Doom a much more emotional tragedy. So Reed may not be responsible for Victor becoming evil, but their rivalry could still be part of his transformation. Victor may have always felt that Reed was one of the few people capable of matching his intelligence. And if Victor suffered a devastating loss while believing that Reed failed him, or that Reed stood between him and the solution, that could make their rivalry even more personal. For now, though, Marvel has not confirmed exactly what happened between them. 9. Why does Doom wear the mask? The mask is another important part of the character. Dr. Doom's armor isn't simply a costume. It represents Victor's transformation. In the comics, his obsession with perfection and his physical injuries become deeply connected to his identity. The mask allows him to hide the person underneath. But symbolically, it also allows Victor to stop being vulnerable. Think about what Sue says. Victor was kind. He was caring. Then everything he loved was taken away. and he became broken. The mask can represent the moment when Victor stops allowing the world to see the vulnerable person underneath. From that point forward, there is only Dr. Doom, the man who cannot be hurt, the man who cannot be controlled, the man who believes he is strong enough to control everyone else.